All right. So there's this guy. His name is Walter Hudson. He is a state representative in the state legislation, Republican. And he's been posting videos on YouTube. He puts these shorts out. I don't know if he does longer ones, but he puts shorts out. And the great algorithm in the sky chose to share with me some of this guy's shorts. And one of the shorts, he is talking to his colleagues across the aisle. And he is, in particular, he's got a problem with one of his colleagues who must have, and it's not part of this video, but they must have, given the context, they must have said, hey, these are my preferred pronouns. And this person, Mr. Hudson, in this, the 1 minute clip, he says something along the lines of, I'm not adopting your language. Straight out, I'm not adopting your language. I'm not going to respect your preferences. You're not important enough to provide me with an instruction manual on how to talk to you. And the pièce de résistance, right? The coup de grace. Basically, he asks, what are the consequences of not addressing you the way you prefer? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do if I don't call you by the pronouns you prefer? Not getting all into this, don't know much about this guy's history, but I do want to answer that question. Not necessarily from the, what are you going to do about it? It's what the bullies at school used to say. Oh yeah? What are you going to do about it? But the idea that, what are the consequences? Let's answer that question. What are the consequences for saying this kind of thing? Is somebody going to get up and expel him? No. Somebody did rise and say, Mr. Speaker, this isn't acceptable. And it isn't. There is decorum and there is etiquette. And he was addressing one individual, and that's out of bounds. And so he was told, careful. But there's no, he's not going to get thrown out. He's not going to be censured. He's not going to be, there's no real physical, in that moment, consequences that he's going to face. But there are consequences. There are consequences to this kind of talk, to this kind of behavior. There are consequences. And that consequence is mainly that you show the world who you really are. You show the world what you're really about. You show the world what you're made of. And now I know a lot of people out there, I might look at this guy and go, that's exactly how it's supposed to be. That's right. You tell him, man, that you're the kind of guy for me. But if you can get past the whole, he's standing up against the trans agenda nonsense, you can discern a lot about a person who speaks like this. You can figure out, by listening to somebody like this talk, an awful lot about them. We were talking about being self-aware. Well, he may not be self-aware, but by opening his mouth in the way that he is, we're certainly more aware of him and about what he's really like. The consequence is you show the world who you really are. And in this little short clip, he showed us who he really is. He showed us that he's not a person who can be civil. If you're different, he can't muster up the energy, the desire to be civil towards you. If you're somebody who is, outside of the box that he draws up, then there's no reason in the world why he should be respectful towards you. It also means that he can't think outside of that box that he has painted for himself. That if you're outside of this, there's just simply no ability to imagine outside of the norm that he holds dear. shows an absolute lack of desire to connect with other human beings, especially other human beings who are different. If you're not exactly like him, my guess would be his circles grow increasingly smaller. He has zero capacity for compassion or empathy. Now, we can, I'm just looking at this guy and listening to him talk, and I'm like, okay, this is not somebody that I'd want to spend any kind of time around. This is not somebody that I want to spend any kind of time around. Why? This guy, there'd be no conversation to be had. So here's the thing. When we speak like this, it might look like we're standing up for what we believe in, but the truth is, you can stand up for what you believe in without being disrespectful. And you can stand up for what you believe in without being, without civility. You can stand up for what you believe in without being mean or discourteous. You can stand up for what you believe in without harming others. Marjorie Taylor Greene at the State of the Union address, as it's been mentioned here, same thing. She got one tool in her bag, right? She got a hammer. That's it. That's all she's got. So everything that she encounters, every experience she has, she whips out the hammer. This guy has one tool in his bag and everything looks like a nail. Right? We can and must. We can and we must. When we are standing up for what we believe in, we must not do it in a way that harms anybody. We can do it with respect, and we can do it with grace, and we can do it with love. We can disagree without resorting to name calling. We can stand up for our faith as defenders of our faith. We can stand up as defenders of our faith without having to put anybody else down, without having to condemn anybody else, without having to label anybody else, without having to label our opponents. It's so key. It really is. It is so key. It is such a key thing for us to come back to. That it's okay to disagree. It's okay to hold different values. It's okay to have different ideals, to live by different moral standards. It's okay. And we can still talk. And we can still share. And we can still drag up the courage and the fortitude necessary to be able to use a person's preferred pronouns, even if that's something that agitates us a little bit, something that we don't understand. We can still find our way to speak their language. And we can do it in a loving, compassionate, gentle, consistent way. What are the consequences of addressing you of not addressing you the way you prefer? Show the world what you're really made of. That's the consequence. And hopefully, the rest of us can learn from your mistake. And we can choose, from this moment going forward, we can choose that we will never look like this. I am never going to place myself in a situation where I look like this. I'm never going to open my mouth in such a way that I look like this. I'm never going to speak to another human being with such vitriol and malice that I look like this. I don't want to look like this. I want the world to know me. I want the world to know me as a person of love. I want the world to respect me. I want the world to think highly of me. Speaking like this to somebody, speaking like this to your worst enemy, is not the way to achieve the esteem of your colleagues. It's not the way to achieve the esteem of to achieve that position of status and esteem from your community and your constituents. So going forward for the rest of us, let's not be like this, okay? Let's be people of love and of respect and of civility, no matter who it is we're addressing. Amen.